We did pull the engine eventually, and what I did is I took the engine out of that, and I had an old junk 59 Studebaker Lark, with the column shift was all jammed up and you couldn't shift it, and the car was in pretty bad shape, but the engine was good. I dropped that engine in, but that was a 6-cylinder, and I put it in the 50 Studebaker with my buddy helping me. We made a tripod out of 3 trees, and we hauled it out with a chain hoist, and it still smoked because that 59 Studebaker Lark 6-cylinder wasn't a heck of a lot better than the engine that was in the 50 Studebaker Champion. But I got another year or so out of the car before I had to get rid of it. What I had to do in order to get the 59 Studebaker 6-cylinder engine into the 50 Studebaker Champion, you couldn't just take and drop the engine in. The engines were pretty much identical except for one major thing. You had the drag link that connected for your steering that went across, and the oil pan had a little curve in the 50 Studebaker engine that the 59 Studebaker oil pan did not have. So what I had to do is I knew a guy that was in a welding shop, and we took the oil pan, 2 oil pans down to him, and I'll tell you what, back then he charged me like $15 or $20, and that's cheap. Did is we cut off the okay, here's the top of the oil pan where the bolts go in the gasket. We cut down maybe a couple of inches or 3 inches below that and cut that bottom part of the oil pan off the 50 Studebaker oil pan engine, and we did the same to the 59 engine, the oil pan, because you could not swap oil pans. The bolts didn't quite line up. So that's what we had to do. So he welded, or actually he brazed, I believe, brazed on the 50 Studebaker Champion 6-cylinder oil pan, the bottom part, onto the 59 engine, and it just fit just right because we cut it. He cut it exactly where the curve was so that it would have clearance, because otherwise you couldn't put that engine in because it would hit that drag link. I call it a drag link. I'm trying to go back now to 1966, 65. So I'm going back quite a few years, and mine gets a little fuzzy, but on these things here I'm pretty sure I may be off a year or two one way or the other. I know that it was 1967 when I bought the 63 Ford Galaxy, and I got rid of the Studebaker Champion. I just sent it to the junkyard. But so in order to get that engine to work, the oil pan had to be modified. So that's the story on the 50 Studebaker and my very early years of working on cars. I am by no means an expert. I know a little bit to keep myself out of trouble. But today, forget it. I know nothing about car computers. I know nothing about the sensors that are in the engines. I know very little. I mean, you know, I have a book here for the Haynes manual for my Ford Tempo, and it gives a lot of information, but there's still a lot that don't tell you. Like I got a 93 Ford Tempo. This goes from 84 to 94. It tells you nothing about how to replace the dash bulbs in the dash. Some of my lights are out. It tells you nothing about how to get that off. You know, so things like that it doesn't tell you. But it gives you engine teardowns and stuff like that, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But I don't do that, you know. I mean, I've got micrometers. Dial micrometer. Stuff like that. I think I've probably used it maybe twice, trying to learn how to rebuild an engine in the, I don't remember what car it was now, but I was not too successful, and it cost too much money and too many specialized tools, so I really didn't get into that. So basically, just a jack of all trades and master of none, as I've always said, and that's a saying my father always used. And I don't even think I'm a jack of all trades, maybe a jackass of all trades, but that's it. But like I say, I know a little bit to keep myself out of trouble, and that's about it. So I putter around. This here is a expander. You shove this into a tailpipe when you want to, get them to fit. You want to swell up one end so you can slide one into the other. I bought this many years ago for my '63 Ford Galaxy when I did my own exhaust systems. Because the exhaust systems on a '63 Galaxy, especially the 6-cylinder, had that intermediate pipe which would always rust out, and the mufflers would always rot out at the ends because it collected a lot of condensation. So I was always replacing the exhaust system on a '63 Galaxy. Anyways, on the one I had anyways. So that's what this is. You just tighten this nut here, and it would expand these things here. And it would, it's got see the little spring in there? Yeah, okay. That's how that works. It just expands all these little metal pieces here and it makes the pipe bigger. This here is a puller. It's a battery terminal puller. You hook that up underneath there and you crank the handle down. You probably have seen these around before. These here are little split ring pliers. They have little tiny round ends that go into the holes of the split ring. I don't have one to show you. Like on tractors and so forth. Like my riding tractor, my small Murray riding tractor has those rings, and that's how you remove them. This here is a brake bleeder wrench. It just depends on the nut size. Like I think it's 5/16, I believe. One end is, and the other one quarter or whatever. Here is a drum brake spring keeper. You release the keepers to hold the shoe in. I can't do disc brakes. I have trouble doing disc brakes, but drum brakes I like working on. As long as I got enough room to work. Some of these smaller cars, forget it. But the old Studebakers and the old '63 Galaxies, one of the ones with the big 11-inch drums, 10-inch drums, those I work on. That's what this is. Put it in there and give it a turn. This is a brake spoon. You go in there and adjust the cog for your drum brakes. Yep, your good old drum brakes. This is a battery tester, hydrometer. And when you're in the green, 1275 specific gravity, that is means a good fully charged battery. And this guy here, I would say this thing is about 40 years old. This you might have seen before. This is a battery tester, a load tester. I bought this about 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. I bought it at a discount store, one of a kind. And it puts a load on a 6 or a 12 volt battery, depending on the scale you're reading here. And it simulates a starter, the starter load in your car. And you just pull out this here and you put this on the positive and you put this on the negative terminal. And this thing gets very hot here because that's your load. And this nut here, if you turn the nut up, it'll take the load off the circuit and you can read the charging voltage. Very handy tool to check. Really give the battery a good test. Well, I think I bored you enough with my flapping and my ugly gums here. Whatever it is you do, don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. Because you may like it today and you may want to do it again tomorrow. Good day.